did Nick know about Ollie's proclivities? On one end, I'm hearing that you observed things that indicated that he was done with that lifestyle, and on the other end, you're saying that some of this was for political expediency. To me, that sounds a little bit like compromising values still. There were the images on his Instagram where he was like hanging out with like a 12-year-old, right? I would find that, upsetting and suspicious at least, right? With the whole stop the steal thing and Nick saying like, well, we got to kind of deal with him, we got to play ball because he has connections. Do you think Nick would have done that for somebody with similar proclivities but who didn't have those political connections? It just seems like if you're going to criticize Milo for sitting on it, then you've got like your own member who has sat on it as well.
Wow, I got my eyes dry. All right, hello, how's it going? Welcome to content.
Welcome to content. Well, thank you for having me on. How are you doing today?
Doing perfect. Are we effing? Dude, if you guys are trolling me, I'm going to freak it. Nope, they are trolling me. Epic. Okay, so we're here. How's it going? You wanted to talk about the Nick Alley stuff?
Yeah. So I guess the first thing is, and this may have already been clarified, but so just to make sure that I understand this, the thing with Nick claiming Milo trying to drug him and have sex, that was a joke then. Stuff.
It's not a joke. He's a sex assault victim. It's fucked up, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah. Me personally, I wasn't there. I think he just told it in a funny way. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
but
I
am known for disrespecting rape victims. Okay. So I'm sorry.
Good to know.
It's now in that category.
All good. So I've heard several people within AF talking about Smiley and saying that he knew what he was getting into at 15. Is that? Do you agree with that stance? I guess.
I think it's funny. I like Smiley though. I think he's an alright guy. I think like, if we're doing no funny mode, I feel like it's clear that he's 15, right? So he's a minor, so he can't really consent to anything, right? But equally, I do remember being a 15-year-old man, and I was doing CS:GO Lotto, and I don't think I would have sent my dick to a brown pedophile, personally.
Yeah. So I guess the thing that I would say is that even if he's 15, even hypothetically, if we say like a 15-year-old knows what they're doing, and I'm sure there are like 15-year-olds who will unwisely do things, right? I still think at the end of the day, Ali is the adult and has the responsibilities on him.
It's not like excusing fucking Ali or anything. I'm just saying, I remember being 15.
Sure. But yeah, I think even even then, like, I just feel like even if 15-year-olds want to do things that are stupid all the time, and I think it's up to adults at the end of the day to kind of set those boundaries. So another question that I had was, and you've probably heard this a billion times, and I'm sorry for asking it again, but did Nick know about Ollie's proclivities?
I don't think so. I talked to Milo about this, actually. I think Cozy just fucking died. So I'm seething, crying. I guess it's just your stream now. Oh, brother.
Sorry.
No, we've been getting DDoSed, actually, very recently. I'll just post the kick link again. Oh, okay, we're back. Are we back? Are you streaming, by the way?
I am streaming, yeah.
Okay. Not be respectful. I'll be respectful.
I appreciate that. So Nick did not know about Ollie then, is essentially what you're saying. So. Okay. Did anybody in America First know about Ollie's proclivities?
Milo.
But Milo isn't really part of America First, right?
No, neither is neither is Ali. Both of these guys are like politically. They're involved with us politically, or at least they were involved with us politically. They weren't like groypers. They weren't one of us, but they were like adjacent people who assisted with connections in the real political world.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Jaden is making the claim that people did know that he specifically warned people about Ali.
Does he have anything to back that up? Can we see?
Let me see if I can find something here.
Bum.
Surface messages from 2020 further prove Nick Fuentes is fully aware of the threat Ali Alexander Akbar posed to underage men. In them, Nick is seen warning his inner circle about him after Ali silenced victims of homosexual predation. And I can share this to you. Now, I don't know, again, I will say I don't know much about this whole situation.
Oh, are you talking about the screenshots that my boy Jaden released?
Yeah,
he cut those unfavorably. We actually have them here. So is this the one where he goes? Nick says Ali wants to come to AFPAC. Definitely got to be a no, right? And then Ferris says he was silent during Groip Wars. Jake Lloyd says, I mean, I don't want him to be there. Scott Greer says, if he came like Gavin to report or give cover to it, I'd be open to it. If he comes to challenge and do bullshit, then no. And then Jake Lloyd says, are you thinking we could tell him or we should tell him or just ignore him? Are you talking about those?
Yeah.
In the next one, which is cut, Nick says, the way I see it, he's totally unhelpful during Groiper Wars, never publicly talked about it or supported it. In fact, he should have posted things about Charlie Kirk throughout, and he posted positive things about Charlie Kirk throughout and deliberately sabotaged my effort to take down Jalen Johnson. Jalen's a F slur who worked for Turning Point and preyed on teenage boys. I tried to get people to take it to the police, and Allie and CJ Pearson told Jalen's victims to not talk to me. As far as I'm concerned, keeping him in an arm's length from America First is reciprocal and fair. So I think those DMs were more to point that like he was like super involved, and he wasn't, right?
Okay.
He was brought on recently for the Yay 24 stuff.
Okay. That was the Groiper War group chat. Jaden was never in it or something. Okay. Sorry, just give me a second here. I guess there's also this Milo had called in to Ralph's show in October and warned them about Ali being a predator. I don't know if you saw that clip.
Is what he said there. And then to Ali Alexander, now this is the one I was saying was he said, and then this is a direct quote. He said, you can tell Ali, stop having sex with little boys, is what Milo, that's a direct quote from Milo Yiannopoulos there. So you were pretty
Yeah, let me respond. So here's two crazy things, Ralph. So again, Milo has met my adult lovers. I have met past adult lovers at his parties and stuff like that.
No, I haven't. Okay. So here's the general premise, just so that you can understand where we're coming from, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The general premise is we have Nick, we have Ali Alexander, we have Milo, right? All three people are working together. Not to say that, Ali and Milo are groypers or they're, turbo involved. They're both independent people who have their own things going on. Milo is a fucking a campaign guy for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Fucking Ali Alexander's running his whole Stop the Steal things, and he has his own things going in real life with other political people, which I don't know how known those are. So,
Mm-hmm.
These are people, though, who work with us. These two people fucking hate each other. Milo and Ali hate each other the entire time. Mm-hmm. All of the Nick news stuff is coming from Milo coming to Nick and saying, Nick, Ali's a fucking pedophile. He's a predator. We have all of these people. He never provides any evidence. He doesn't stipulate beyond that. But you got to remember as well, at that moment, Milo has that information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, think about it from your perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have 2 fucking mods in your live chat, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 mods, you know for a fact, both hate each other. One of them DMs you some shit. And when he says, you know, the other mod's a fucking pedophile, like XYZ, you say, okay, you know, is there anything more? Like, is it just something that you're saying, right?
Yeah.
It's just rumors. It's nothing beyond that. And he doesn't provide anything. Next year he comes out, says, your mods are pedophiles, fuck you, you're a piece of shit, right? And he has evidence at that moment that could have completely showed you that he was telling the truth. It wasn't just part of this beef that he was going through, but he held it just to drop on you a year later when now he's your greatest enemy, and now he's a mod for Hassan or something.
Okay, that makes sense. And then there is this text that makes sense. That maybe he would have been skeptical since he knew that both of them hate each other. And he wasn't provided anything. But somebody just sent me this, like, I think it's a group chat, and it says, Abdul Al-Omari, Ali Abdul Razak Akbar, Saddam Al-Sukami. 2 of these guys hijacked planes on 9/11. One of them is an anti-white, gay, ugly pedo. And looks like there's a message from Nick Fuentes right after that saying, you know, just he has to give me a little backup. He's gatekeeper for this event, so unfortunately I have to play ball.
Yeah, so that was before the Stop the Steal event, I believe. And this is before any involvement that he has. This is 2 years ago. This is before Jan 6. Ali Alexander was running all of the Stop the Steal events and had a hand in like Million MAGA March and stuff like that, right? So it's at that point, it's just like some random person who is listening to what? Like, who's the person saying that?
I believe that was from Jaden. Or let me see. I think it was from let me just check. Yeah, I just know it's I know it's from Jaden. Yeah, it's from Jaden. And then Nicholas responds to it, and then Optics Respecter says, "We will fall in line." And Nick says, "I didn't like it, but honestly, we have to look at the bigger picture here." So it seems like he's acknowledging that he is like that Jaden is calling him a gay, ugly pedo. And Nick is saying,
Can I add some context, which is going to sound like cope to people who aren't in our spheres? Okay. Gay and pedophile are kind of like more close to synonyms, right? And the drama that is publicly known about Ali and which was coming out during that time is that he had a grinder previously, and then he was like at least some sort of bisexual. I mean, if Jaden knew and had evidence, like, shouldn't he have fought a bit harder? I feel like reading that, it's kind of clearly just like a bit of like, I don't like this guy. He's a mamma mia. Fagagucci, which is an Italian word.
An Italian pasta, right? I think.
I'm trying to be nice.
I understand. Okay. So.
And dude, it's fun. Can I divert a little bit?
Yeah.
I just saw it in my chat, and I think it's a funny thing to bring up. Jaden has nowhere to be talking about this. His biggest donor, who pays him like $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, right? And it's all from just this one guy who's met his family, who took him on a trip to Disney World, right? And who is like. essentially like completely funding his entire life. He gave him I'm pretty sure this is Victor. Victor gave him a crypto donation of $100,000. Like, this guy's like rich. He's just funding him and all that. This guy's a pedophile, like confirmed, like 1,000,000 times. He's a confirmed pedophile. How do
they know he's a pedophile?
Because they doxed him, and they found all of the accounts he has. He has a Tumblr where he's lusting after like 14, 12-year-old boys.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess I would have to see that. But somebody has a question. They said if gay and pedophile mean the same thing, why aren't they letting pedophiles on Cozy where young men are? Yes.
So all right. So another bit of context here. So Ali Alexander, Milo, both of these guys at the time that we start becoming involved with them, right? Because the question is, oh, Milo's gay. Why even involve yourself with him? Or Ali's gay. Why even involve yourself? Right? It's Milo started a 3-year dedicated conversion to Christianity. All of this was public. It was only after about 2.5 years, I think, when he was confirmed that we started actually involving ourselves, because it seems a bit fucking crazy to dedicate yourself so publicly to changing your life, to doing everything right. This guy's running even in his not a super chat. Even in his Telegram, this guy is out there every single day talking about the Christian gospel and stuff like that. Come to find out a few months ago that he's still living with his husband literally the entire time, and it was all just like an act. And after that, he was done, right? Ali Akbar, Milo never streamed on the platform, by the way. Ali Akbar, he was also doing a similar thing of Christianity, that sort of thing. And he was very open about being gay in the past, but that he had tried to cut that completely out of his life. And then he was just focused on, God and time traveling.
Okay. Do you guys personally believe that being gay or bisexual is something that can be cured?
I don't, but there's a lot of different opinions. Okay, so I think the way I view homosexuality and that sort of thing, I think it's sort of just like a burden. I think it's probably not predetermined by genetics, but it's it becomes much more likely, given certain genetic features, that after experiencing trauma at a young age, you will become homosexual. And I think that once that box is punched, you can't unpunch that box. And now it's just a burden that you have to deal with, right? The sin of homosexuality from a Christian perspective is the fornication aspect of it, as man and wife are the only people who can get married. Any sex outside of that is fornication, which is sin. So obviously, if you're having sex with a man, that's sin. I think that the only answer is celibacy, the same way as if you had any other compulsion to do bad actions. So I don't think you can. I don't think you can go from gay to straight. I think you can go from gay to celibate.
Okay. So do you know if Nick himself believes that gay people can be cured, or?
I don't think so. But I've never talked to him.
Yeah. So I guess the only problem here,
I would assume he has the same opinion, because my opinion is sort of like the Catholic opinion, not the genetics or whatever, but that the answer to homosexuality is celibacy.
Yeah. So then, if that's the case, that you don't believe that being gay or being homosexual is curable, wouldn't you have a problem with bringing somebody like Ali Alexander onto the platform if you truly don't think he can be cured?
I guess you could say that's a bit of a a bit of a political move, but it is what it is at the end of the day. It's we have a guy here who can help a lot. We have a guy here who, through all observation, is completely dedicated to living in the good and proper manner. We have a guy who is claiming that he is celibate. We have all of this. We have nothing that's saying otherwise. So you kind of just you got to observe and make a good decision based on it. And from what we observed and from the information that we had, it seemed like he was true in his conversion, true in the way that he was living his life in a positive manner. Clearly not.
What observations did you see that I guess indicated he was true in observing a new lifestyle?
Yeah, so I only interacted with Ollie once, and it was in a voice call on stream. When the guy understood stuff about Christianity, and the guy, maybe this is biased, but he kept bringing up the essence of changing oneself, in humbling yourself, and in attempting to live in a manner that is redemptive. It made sense to me with what he'd gone through in the past, and the fact that this guy, he wasn't just here's another look into my worldview. I kind of do think that bisexuals exist, but I think they're like bisexual males, but I think it's more like a porn addiction type thing, or like a like coming addiction essentially. And that's what it seems like he was going through back in the day, where it was like he wasn't just addicted to like men, he was addicted to like dopamine, if that makes sense. And that was sort of his thing that he was going through. It just seemed like that a genuine will to do good had happened. But then again, I didn't hang out with Ollie all day. I talked to him once.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is, I'm hearing like two things here, right? So like on one end, I'm hearing that you observe things that thought indicated that he was done with that lifestyle, and on the other end, you're saying that some of this was for political expediency.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's not like one of us.
Yeah.
He's not one of us, but the observation showed that he was changing, that he was lining up where he should be, and at the very least, he wasn't in active danger or anything like that. And if we recall, people like to say Smiley, the groiper who was molested, it was 6 years ago, before Nick had done his first live stream, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, to me, I don't know. To me, that sounds a little bit like compromising values still, though, right? Like it still sounds like a little bit of compromising of values for political expediency.
I don't think so. I think that would be like, and sure, there are definitely people like that where it's like, you can't unsuck a dick or anything like that. And I kind of agree to an extent that you're still like, we're aware of like the evils which are befalling you, right? But to say that like someone who was homosexual in the past can't then activate celibacy, they can't dedicate themselves and truly become like a good and Christian person, and a virtuous person even. I mean, that's a bit fucking evil, is it not? That what, you're just fucked for life? That's not what the church says. They say that you just need to give yourself in, that you need to live in the proper manner, right? I'm not saying that there weren't like guards or there weren't like worries about it, right? But or not worries, but like, worries which led to observations about it. But I don't think it's compromising of any values.
Okay.
If the guy was like a leering like not Jeffrey Epstein, fucking Harvey Weinstein, and that's how he conducted himself, then obviously that would have been a compromisation of values. But you got to understand that that's not how this guy presents himself 99% of the time, or at least to the public, right? And I sort of have a similar to public perception of the guy because I only talk to him in public spaces, right?
Sure. I guess the only thing I would say in response to that is there were the images on his Instagram where he was like hanging out with like a 12-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess I would find that I would find that, upsetting and suspicious at least, right?
What are the images?
Basically, he's talking about like one of his closest friends being like a 12-year-old or 14-year-old, and he's got pictures of this kid hanging out in his car and going out with his brother and this kid, and it just seemed weird, I guess.
Yeah, we do have Cozy down again.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, it is what it is. It is what it is. The site usually works, but we've been getting DDoSed hard these last 2 days. I'm still on kick. Let's see if everything's going well. Yeah. All right, we're good. We're good. It is what it is. Oh, they want me to bring up kick chat. Sorry. I'm just trying to live deal with this fucking ass.
No
I'm not trying to dodge your question there.
no problem. Yeah.
Bro, all right, I'll just copy it this way. Okay, it doesn't work. All right, fuck it. All right. So the images of him with a 12-year-old, yeah, that's pretty weird.
Yeah. I guess usually from what I know that when people are changing from when you see somebody changing from a lifestyle, most people like expect that to take like a few years, right? And if you believe that,
yeah, and it was right for
Yeah.
Milo. That's
Yeah.
3 years, I think it was, and for Allie, we're going on 4 or 5 years, I think.
Okay.
Because
but when-
Allie was an atheist and then started in like I think 2018, 2019 saying he's a Christian.
And was that around the time that he started working with Nick? When did he start working with Nick?
He started working with Nick. He had his first interaction with Nick during the Stop the Steal rally. That's
2017,
late
right?
2019. No,
Oh,
that
okay.
because that's for the
sorry.
2020 election.
I mixed it up. Yeah, sorry.
So that's 2019,
Mhm.
late 2019, early 2020. That's not as you saw from those texts, that wasn't like he's on
Yeah.
board or anything. That was
Yeah.
we have to get through him in order to be a part of these events, right?
Yeah.
He started actually working with us. He got his channel and started like publicly being like associated with us 2022, late like summer 2022.
Okay, so it's been maybe 2 years since then? Since he started? 3
Since
years?
he first talked to him, yeah.
And since he started reforming, I guess.
Yeah, so in 2022 when he becomes like on our side, or he becomes like associated with us properly more than just like a gatekeeper, that was from 2018 or from 2019, we'll say. What, 4 years?
Okay. Yeah, I guess if the thing is, like, if you believe that like PDF files, sorry, this is just the way I say it. If you believe that PDF files are trying to infiltrate groups with kids.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, sorry. I just don't like to say, I don't know why, I just have an aversion to it. If PDF files are like trying to infiltrate groups with kids, and they are if they're trying to get access to kids and stuff like that, that you would be like extra cautious, I guess. And so I guess with the whole Stop the Steal thing, and Nick saying like, well, we got to kind of deal with him, we got to play ball because he has connections. Do you think Nick would have done that for somebody with similar proclivities but who didn't have those political connections?
I mean, if he wasn't like useful, why would he? Right? Why would he like? Why would he associate with anyone who wasn't useful?
But even then, like, it's kind of like, sure, you're working with him because he has connections, with the Stop the Steal stuff. At the same time, you're still kind of, in some ways, exposing your members to this person, right?
Yeah, this person who is known to previously have been bisexual.
Mm-hmm. And to have pictures with a 14-year-old on his Instagram hanging out with him and saying that he's like one of his closest friends.
Yeah, I think the pictures of the 14-year-old become much more damning after the fact of the like smiley reveal and stuff like that. Like it could have just been like an odd moment, like like it's hard to look at those and say like, and I'm not trying to say that those are like normal pictures or anything, but like well, I haven't seen them, but like if it's just a guy with a kid and then we don't have the reveal of Smiley getting fucking DM'd by this guy and forced to do all this shit, and we're just looking at the pictures of the kid with no other information, is that not then much more harmless than it looks now?
Yeah, I could understand the skepticism around it, especially, I've said this before, there are a lot of rumors that go around in specifically these spaces. But at the same time, if you believe that homosexuality is analogous with PDF file, then, you know, I think, and you know that this guy has a history of that kind of proclivity, then you would probably find a picture of him hanging out with a 14-year-old still pretty suspect, right?
If he's gay and hanging out with a kid, then that's suspect. Or if he's, bisexual hanging out with a kid, that's suspect. I mean, I would kind of agree. But I don't think it's like anything damning, and I definitely don't think it's like anything crazy that would make me think like, oh, this guy's super sus as a PDF file or whatever the fuck, right? Like, and maybe this is another bit of a cop out, but it's like this guy works with pretty much every single political actor, right? Like, this is a guy who's working with Congress people. This is a guy who works with fucking even Trump. This is a guy who's working with literally everyone in the right wing, right? So it's kind of weird to be like, that has no validation, right? Like, one would hope that if all of these people who have access to like way more resources than just the Groypers do, then would that not add like a certain validation where it's like, this guy isn't up to any hanky shit. This guy is, he's good enough to pass. He might have a weird photo with some kid. Who the fuck knows? That could be like his nephew, right? That could be he's friends with the dad of that guy, and the dad of that kid wants him to fucking promote his Instagram because he's the rising star or whatever the fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem damning at all. Of course, looking back on it, after we see that this guy does have some weird predation on kids, then yeah.
Sure. I'm willing to say, accept that there are like doubts there, but I would still say again that it wasn't a secret that he had bisexual or homosexual proclivities, as you guys would call it, and that if you guys view homosexuality as analogous with PDF files, that any picture of him hanging out with a kid would be suspicious. Him saying that a 14-year-old is one of his closest friends would be suspicious.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's sort of like where it ends. It's a bit fucking weird. I don't think it's crazy. I think there's like a huge range to these types of things. I don't think a picture with a 14-year-old as an ex-gay should have raised any more alarms than it probably did, which was people saying he's a bit fucking weird. Let's keep an eye out, right? Yeah. Let's make sure that he's not around any kids, maybe.
Yeah,
right?
but then at the same time, I remember seeing like a little while ago when Carrie Lake was running for office. I believe she said at like a Trump gala or something like that, that they were throwing for like for the LGBTQ Republicans. She made some joke, and I remember Nick finding that super disgusting. Really, just her making a joke like that. That that the gay guys there would want to be manhandled by Secret Service or something like that. So if that was enough for Nick to like be to like say like, oh, Carrie Lake is we shouldn't support her, and like look at these hypocrites in the Republican Party, they don't really stand for real morals and moral values. If that was enough, then I would be surprised to see that somebody who actually has a history of behaviors that you disapprove of and actually has a picture with a young guy would not be seen just as suspect, if not more so.
A celibate homosexual Christian is in no wrong standing, right? There's no moral outrage from that. It could totally be used and justified to say this is a homosexual man who's celibate. Therefore, let's be wary of that when this happens. But that, and combined with a photo of a kid who, as I said, who the fuck knows, looking at that shit. It could be his fucking nephew. It could be related to him. It could be his fucking little brother. It could be his friend's kid, I just don't think that this is the red flag that you think it is.
Maybe I just think that with the combination of Jaden saying like this guy's a PDF file, it still kind of would, like, I don't know, could raise some flags with me, right? Like, yeah, maybe you think he's celibate, and yeah, maybe.
Can you reread that tweet by Jaden or whatever that fucking the message he sent? Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me if you believe that this is a stoic representation of his genuine and true feelings and a warning to his friend to not engage with this man, or do you think he just kind of like seems like he doesn't like the guy and he thinks he's a bit of a
that is a fair
file, right?
Yeah. That's a fair question, right? Because I do know that you guys like will just kind of throw these things around. So yeah, I mean, fair enough, right?
If we remember the wording, he says Ali Akbar, Ali Quack Quack Quack, Ali Ba Ba Ba. Two of these people hit the fucking Twin Towers, and the other one's a gay pedophile, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess the next question I would have is how many of these you yourself, you think that homosexuals can become celibate at least? How many do you think ex-gays are actually celibate?
What do you mean?
Like of the ex-gays who claim that they're celibate, how many do you think are actually celibate?
I would hope all of them. I mean, this is kind of just like a question of people's heart, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you step into our shoes, it's like what I'm saying by being celibate is that like that's like the correct moral prescription, right? So it's like, are you on the down low still doing whatever? Maybe. And honestly, that's fucked. And, you got to get right with God, right? But it's like also, how many Christians are virgins until marriage? How many Christians are actually going to church every Sunday? How many Catholics are going to confession? It's like, it's a question of the heart. It's a question of dedication. I would really hope that it would be a lot of them who are genuinely celibate. And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's a very good litmus test for how real these people are being, because I think a lot of these, personally, in my experience with these like ex-gay, like, Christian guys, is whenever they start going, I'm ex-gay, but it's because I converted to straight, that means that they're still gay. So generally, that's how it is.
Yeah. But if you had to guess, I guess, on your own, how many do you think? Like do you think, like in your personal belief, are?
How many ex-gays are genuinely celibate, genuinely fulfilling their duty? I would hope most. Because it's not like it's not a cradle thing. You know what I mean? In order to have the revelation that you believe that the way that you are living is not godly, that it is not moral, that you are actually in fact harming yourself with the actions that you are taking, that is like an active decision rather than a passive like happenstance. You know what I mean? So they must have gotten to this point where they have actively said to themselves, this is hurting me, this is wrong, right? I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do something about this, right? So maybe in the first few months, maybe they relapse or whatever the heck. I'm allowed to swear, whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
But afterwards, I would hope after like a few years that they are genuinely just like embroiled in this and dedicated to living healthily.
Okay. And you said you have like a litmus test.
Yeah.
It seems like the litmus test though that you guys have has failed, I guess, with Ali. And has failed with, you suspect it's failed with Milo as well.
No, we know it's failed with Milo. And I think Milo was like the litmus test passed for that one, right? Where it was like Milo said he was converting to straight, and I was like, he's gay. And he was gay.
Okay.
He's still like living and married with his husband there. And Ali, once again, there's no predation on Groypers. No Groyper got like diddled by this dude. Nothing happened like, 2 days ago to some dude in Ali Alexander's live chat. The guy streamed like 4 times on Cozy. People like to say that this is like the big threat of like he had a live streaming platform. Nothing happened there. It wasn't a problem. He streamed a few times. He wasn't really in contact with any of the Groypers. This guy is like an asset that, as in, like, he works with us on political matters, not an asset as in like he's holding Groyper daycare,
Okay. Yeah, I guess I would just point out that, the litmus test seems to have failed at least twice now. Yeah, I guess maybe you guys need to kind of work on the litmus tests, I guess, that you have. It seems like it's not really working out too well. I guess.
I mean, but you can't say that this is a unique experience for Groypers or for Nick Fuentes, right? This is something, then, if this is a failing, right?
Yeah.
Then that is a failing which is shared by literally every single person who is in the right-wing sphere. We have him with standing next to and working with Scott Greer. Scott Greer didn't know. We have him standing and working with Jack Pasabic. He stands and works with Marjorie Taylor Greene, with fucking pretty much every single congressperson who is involved has had their hands in the same pot as Ali Alexander. And that's not even just right-wing, right?
Yeah.
For all the blue versus red heads out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'd like to bring that question up once again. These are powerful fucking people with millions and millions of dollars on their dispense. They have personal security. None of and it comes down to Fawn Tool Groyper. It comes down to Poo Poo Pee Pee Groyper. It comes down to Sweaty Ballsack Groyper to suss out this guy when he is certified, verified, and backed up by all of these fucking people.
I mean, that is a fair point. That is it's a good point that Marjorie Taylor Greene did work alongside him. I guess the only thing I would say, though, is that you guys are pretty devout Christians, pretty devout Catholics, and you did admit earlier that some of this was for the political expediency. Even if you were sussed out by this guy the first time you started working with him, you were willing to kind of overlook that because of the political expediency of it. And it seems just a little bit contradictory with morals, right? With the morals that you try to follow.
Oh, I kind of like agreed with you there at the start, where it was like, we are devout people. And then I said, well, I guess you could say that was a failing, where we're devout and therefore we are, I think, maybe a bit too easy, or maybe a bit too like ready to accept something as a genuine conversion. Obviously, you people weren't like watching what was going on with Ali before any of this shit went down. But when I tell you that this guy is coming out here and professing that he has had a genuine conversion, that he genuinely and truly expresses the word of the Lord, and he is trying his best to live in a Christ-like manner, you could say that's a failing to say, you know what, I want to believe this guy. This guy, he's giving me all the signs, right? And he's showing that he is a believer. And I would hope that he's not capable of anything, right? Now we found out that he is, right?
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I don't think that's contrary to any morality. The forgiveness is genuinely a Christian value. And I forgive all people, even the ones you're not supposed to forgive.
Okay.
Maybe they didn't even do anything that wrong in the first place. I'm not talking about Ali. I'm talking about Hitler, by the way.
Yeah. Well, okay. Oh God, dude. So I guess okay. I guess just to clarify, because I'm so sorry. I'm just like so confused by everything here. When it was that Stop the Steal thing, he had already been kind of trying to reform, right?
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not the hardest on his lore. I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
From what I heard him say about himself, he
Yeah.
included that in part of his conversion.
Okay.
His conversion journey, right? Where it was like, I think I don't want to get nailed down on this, but I think he said 2018 and Stop the Seal would be late, like October 2019 through
Okay.
Jan 6, right?
Okay. And then, it seemed that Trump and other like Republican or conservative Congress people or politicians, even voicing support for gay people or acceptance of gay people, was enough for Nick to stop wanting to be associated with them. So I guess I just find it weird. I understand that you're saying that, you take people at their word when they say that they're trying to live a better life, but it just seems weird that, versus somebody just saying they support homosexuals versus somebody who actually,
Oh, Stop the Seal was
is a,
2020. That's my bad. It wasn't
oh, okay.
2019.
Uh,
Because the steal hadn't happened yet. Okay, no, that's retarded to me. I went to Jan 6. Are you kidding me? Yeah, yeah. So it was late 2020, early 2021 that he first talked to Allie. Okay, well, truly
okay.
not a lore master here.
Yeah.
To speak on what you're saying though, I feel like maybe it's like the mistranslation of beliefs, right?
Yeah.
When Trump says, "I love gay people love me. I am the most pro-gay president there has ever been." Okay, right? When he says something like that, the reason that we get pissed off is because those are people who are actively living in sin. That is the normalization of a very unchristian behavior, a very harmful behavior, and a very morally corrupt behavior. And we don't think that that's something that should be being pushed. And at the very least, we'd hope that our guy isn't the one pushing it, right? But that's the reality of the thing. There's nothing, and I'm going to catch flack for being a real person here, but there's nothing like genuinely evil about the person and the soul of a homosexual, right? They are a person who is living in sin. We are all, to varying degrees, people who are living in sin. We try our best to live Christ-like. Once that gay person who previously is morally reprehensible begins their journey into the church, into living Christ, like into being celibate, I think it's a bit fucking weird to be like, oh, you're still morally reprehensible. They're doing everything right? And,
yeah, but you might say like, oh, they're doing everything right, but at the same time, if this person has a proclivity towards, being with young men, and that's going to be a temptation for that person, maybe you don't put that person in that temptation. I don't know.
Of being gay?
Yeah.
So he's not allowed to be around men anymore?
Or, I mean, have access to, impressionable young guys or something like that,
I don't think he was around that many young guys, right? And at the end of the day, then it's like, is the blame not on like the other Stop the Steal organizers before it's on Groypers, right?
Sure, but I don't disagree with you there, but I think that the difference is that the other Stop the Steal organizers, I don't see them really necessarily sticking to or claiming to stick to their Christian values as much, right? You see a lot of this with conservatives,
I'll relay
right?
this, okay?
Yeah.
I think of these two things as the same, okay? Believe me or not. If you're like born and whatever the fuck happens, you see porn whenever you're like 8 years old and your mind breaks, right? And you're just like focused on pussy, you're just focused on coming all the time, you're just a horny little guy, but you're the most straight motherfucker out here, right? And you're having premarital sex, you're going crazy, all of that, okay? And then you go, oh, I'm going to be Christian, I'm going to wait till marriage, I'm like born again or whatever the fuck. Like that is still like extremely sinful behavior. That's still extremely morally wrong, right? But I don't think anyone would really say it's like, well, we have a duty to keep this guy away from men or else he's going to go fuck them, right? Or from women or else he's going to go fuck them, right?
I guess.
It's like we should keep this guy away from porn. We should keep this guy away from like nightclubs. We should keep this guy away from like I don't know, prostitutes, right?
But do you think that's an equal sin to what Ali Alexander was doing? Do you think that
child predation? No.
Well, I mean, even if there wasn't like child predation, but do you think that like the sin of having sex outside of marriage is equal to having homosexual relationships outside of marriage?
I'm not a priest, and sin itself is sort of like a corruption that leads towards bad ends. Like all corruptions end up like sort of hurting you and hurting your soul, right? And leading you away from God. I don't know about ranking sins. I do think it's worse. And if we're looking to the perspective of God about it, I guess you could make the argument that it's like anyone who hurts my children should have a millstone tied around their neck and thrown into the sea. So maybe, but
Okay. Okay. And then I guess
we just believed
question,
that
but,
there was
yeah.
evidence of redemption, and Christians believe in redemption. We love redemption.
Sure. Yeah, I can understand that. I guess I guess just that I have the same things in my head. I understand what you're saying as far as believing in redemption and wanting to take somebody's word for it when they say that they're changing, but at the same time,
well, not just their word, but
yeah.
also looking at the actions, the statements that they make, and sort of like the little ways of how they live their life, right? And yeah, that's where the image comes from.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess I just would. I'm not saying that you guys are any more responsible than these people.
Would you say Milo, at the very least, is more responsible than?
I don't know why Milo. Yeah, I don't know why Milo hid that stuff. I think if Milo was
that's
aware
a bit weird at the least.
Yeah.
I think where a lot of us are coming from is we feel like this has been like crazily used to attack Nick specifically and us when there are like way more culpable parties. Like if we want to start like taking a microscope to everything, and I'm not trying to distract you or anything. You can get back to whatever you're talking about. I'm just sharing the perspective here, but it's like. If we're taking a microscope and saying, well, he streamed 3 times on Cozy, and therefore each stream he had 200 viewers. If we assume all 200 of those are kids, he could have raped 600 kids in the time that he did those 3 streams, right? If we want to take that type of look, it's like Milo hid it for 14 months. Milo, when he was warning Nick every single time about Ali, the guy who he hates, he could have provided to him the evidence. He could have said to him, hey, there's a guy who you literally know, Nick, who you have spoken to, who was in your documentary, a guy who you have on your phone right now and could text, who came to me, right? And he did not. He never did. Why is that? He could have raped millions of children in that time.
Sure.
In those 14 months.
I'm not disagreeing with you there, right? Obviously, like somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene should have done the research on this person, done the background checks, but at the same time, I guess like we know that conservatives in these areas tend to be inconsistent, and they say one thing and they do another, whereas like AF kind of claims to stick to their morals more, right? Claims to not compromise morals over expediency, but it looks like to somebody from the outside that it looks like that this is a scenario where, at least at the very beginning, it looked like there was a compromise of morals for political expediency.
I think the angle that you're coming from is a bit flawed, because I see the logic in what you're saying, right? I feel like it's a hurdle to get over to understand the Christian belief in genuine redemption. I think you could make an argument that due to the political expediency, the redemption might have come without less scrutiny from the people determining whether or not redemption has been achieved, and therefore they were a valid person to let into the circle. I still do think that appropriate actions were taken to isolate him from the movement at large. When we're talking about the work that Ali is doing for America First, he didn't come to AFPAC. He wasn't at our events. He wasn't, talking to people. He was never like in the actual movement. He was always a guy somewhere else who was on our side, if that makes sense.
Okay. I guess somebody in the chat wants me to ask, and again, these are not my words, but does America First take any responsibility for the platforming of the PDF file? Did Nick show bad judgment? I guess.
Do we take... I could turn that on Milo again. Yeah, Milo, that freak pedophile on the...
I mean, I plan on asking him those questions too. So, but
sorry, what was the question? Do we take responsibility for platforming a pedophile? I mean, maybe a bit after the fact, but it's like based on the information available at the time, I don't think it was apparent. I think I mean, if you want to put blame for things that weren't known, then sure, I guess we're to blame for having him on the platform. But from the information available at the time, I don't think we're to blame. If we want to throw out blame, and not to A-log Milo too hard, but it's like he could have prevented that, right? He knew before Ali even got a cozy channel. Milo knew.
Okay. And then do you think that Marjorie Taylor Greene should take responsibility for working with Ali and Milo?
Totally, man. Totally. I mean, it's crazy. And she's not even just like working with Milo. She's like using campaign funds to let them live. You know what I mean? Like they live in her campaign house. She fucking Milo ghost writ her book on Christian nationalism. It's a complete fucking grift. Milo, who has been revealed, and Marjorie, of course she fucking knows this. Are you kidding me? Milo is living with his husband in her house. Unironically, literally, she pays for that house with her campaign funds. She has him, a known guy, a known homosexual who's taking Percocets to hide his gay feelings, right? This is the guy who's writing the book on Christian nationalism. Marjorie sucks, dude.
Well, so if Marjorie Taylor Greene should take responsibility for working with Ali and working with Milo, then don't you think the same kind of applies to Nick?
I think it's working with Ali and working with Milo. She doesn't as actively work with Ali. She has worked with him in the past. And once again, I'd like to get into this idea of like big fish, little fish. I think it's much more reasonable to say that Marjorie knew, as she is a person who has millions and millions of dollars at her disposal. She's a person with a personal security team. She's a person with a network which is set up to vet people, right? Whereas we are, stinky ballsack Groiper. I think it's a bit weird to pretend that two dissimilar things are similar.
Oh, I'm willing to acknowledge that there are differences, but there's still more similarities, right? Yes, the amount of resources available to you guys are obviously vastly different, but it's still kind of a similar, like a similar scenario, regardless of the resources, right?
I'm getting a super chat. No, that's kind of a good take. Wait, so my Ali for 14? No, since John McCain, right? How long is that? 2007 he got his start. Since John McCain, Ali has been in the right wing, and no one caught him, no one busted him. He was in America First for 1 year, and we got him. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So hey, that's kind of hey man, we got shooters.
But it was more Milo though, right? Who got him, I guess.
No, it wasn't actually, because I talked to Smiley and I talked to Wooza actually, who played a huge role in this. It was in one of our chats. I guess it was Milo, but he was seeking just like dirt because he hated the guy. But it was Wuza who had known the secret about Smiley. And for this dynamic, you got to understand like Wuza is a close personal friend of Smiley, right? So I don't think he
But
thought
then
that it was his place to say shit. Wuza messages Milo to message Smiley about it. So at the end of the day, it was us.
Right, but then why wouldn't Wuza tell Nick and tell you guys, and then
why wouldn't
you know?
Smiley? Like that's the thing is that Smiley's 22, right? So he's his own man. He could have told anyone. He told Wuza because it's his friend. I don't think it's all right to blame Wuza because at the end of the day, that's you know, like think about it like a woman, so that we can have some empathy, right? Like if one of your girl pals tells you she got raped, would that be your place to start telling people she got raped, right?
No, but it would be, you know, I might say that, hey, I know something about this person.
Smiley has the same access to Nick that Wuza does.
Yeah. Sure. But again, I would say, like, I would tell, like, if there's a leader in an organization, I might tell them, like, hey, you know, I can't tell you how I know this, but I know this person has done some really illicit things with somebody when they were underage, you know? And that might be a way that I would approach it. It just seems like if you're going to criticize Milo for sitting on it, then you've got like your own member who has sat on it as well.
Smiley's like our own member too.
Sure. Yeah.
And listen, you're really pulling this sucks that you're making me do this.
I'm sorry.
I love Wuza. I love Wuza. He's the best guy in the world. He's not that much of a deep thinker. Okay. I think he just thought it was an embarrassing thing about Smiley that he told him in confidence and he wasn't going to go any further than that. And Smiley is a big boy. He can tell anyone he wants. Okay. When I asked Wuza why he didn't follow up with Milo, if anything had come of the thing, he just goes, well, he was like doing things, I thought. So I was waiting. But I love Wuza. I love Wuza so much. But at the end of the day, Smiley's a groiper too. He could have contacted Nick too. He has Nick on fucking Snapchat, I'm pretty sure.
But the thing is, like, what made it so that Wuza felt comfortable going to Milo, but didn't feel the same way going to somebody within AF?
Oh, I think I got the story wrong. He told Smiley because Wuza was in the chat, but Smiley wasn't. So he went to Smiley, told him to message Wuza. I think I might have misremembered the story.
Milo told Smiley to message Wuza?
No. So there's like a group chat that Wuza's in, Smiley isn't in. There's like 40 people in it, right? So Milo announces his intentions, and this is before. This is actually like a super important part of the story that Wuza revealed is that this happened before AFPAC 3. So this is before Ali Alexander was even properly associated with us, right? Because as I said, in summer 2022, that's when he gets involved. 2022 February is when Wuza first sees Milo asking for dirt about Ali Alexander, right? Mm-hmm. Wuza then, because Smiley isn't in the chat and Wuza knows that Smiley has an experience with Ali, he fucking messages Smiley. Smiley messages Ali Alexander, or Smiley messages Milo, and that's how the story comes to light. So it's like before we were ever involved with this guy, Milo knew. Mm-hmm. He was imagine this. He was a key advisor to Nick at this point in time. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I don't see how it's not just him.
Yeah, I guess. I guess the only thing is that again, like that indicates that some people, like 2 people at least, knew, right? And didn't tell other AF members, other followers, I guess, of AF at that point.
Yeah, you can put it on Wuza if you want. He's just a nice Mormon guy. I don't think he thought too much deeper than it.
Yeah, I don't mean to like blame him. Than right?
Smiley's my friend. It's embarrassing. I'm not gonna out Smiley.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you think those were the only 2 people who knew about that?
Smiley and Wooza,
Yeah.
or Smiley, Wooza, and Milo. Um, yeah, Smiley didn't say he told anyone else, but he like didn't imply Wooza because he didn't want to like have people mad at Wooza because he felt like
Yeah.
Wooza did everything right.
Yeah.
So
for
there
sure.
might have been more people who knew, but Smiley didn't say he told anyone else.
Okay. Yeah.
Jimbo
I guess.
maybe. Wooza
Yeah.
alleged Jimbo, but I think that was just beef between the two of them. He wanted to throw him into the drama.
Yeah, I just think I guess that maybe at this point in time you might want to see how many people knew about it, and you know, if there
Yeah,
were
as
people
I
who
said, I
knew,
talked
yeah,
to
yeah.
Smiley. He said it was
Okay.
just Wooza.
Okay. So then I'm sorry for taking up so much of your time. But
No, it's. I mean, I made you wait 2.5 hours. Did I not?
it's all good.
We had other drama. Okay, it was.
Yeah. I can.
It wasn't anything important. It was just family drama between two niggas.
Well, so
Ninjas
I guess
is what I said.
Ninjas. Yep. I guess. If Nick isn't responsible for Milo, and Milo was like a key advisor to him at a certain point, then why is MTG so much more responsible? I suppose.
Sorry, what did you say?
So you said if Nick isn't responsible for Milo, then and Ali, right? Or you know, if he's not responsible for Milo and Ali, then why is MTG?
If who isn't what? Sorry, say it again. I've been reading
sorry.
stuff. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. If Nick Fuentes is not responsible for Milo and Ali, you know, based on what you guys learned about them, why is MTG?
I think MTG is responsible for Milo. I don't know how deep her connection is with Ali Alexander. I think other people, and this is sort of what I explained earlier. I think the other people in like deep political positions are far more responsible because I think they should have caught it, and maybe that's what it is, but as I said, they have way more resources. They've worked with him longer, like fucking John McCain should have known. Right?
Yeah.
John McCain worked with this guy and gave him a start. Everyone else after that, and like that's actually something that I wanted to touch on, right? Is it's sort of like the vetting through other notable people, right? Where it's like if you have like I don't know, let's just say like not a best friend, but you have like a friend who you're at like a party, it's your party, right? And you know like all the people there, all of the people tell you that this guy is cool, and then he comes into the party and he takes a shit in the punch bowl, and it's sort of like, wow, why did you throw a party where a guy shit in a punch bowl? Stardust, you fucking treat shitter, you fucking Indian. What the fuck is going on in this party, dude? And it's like all of my friends said that they've hung out with him before and nothing fucking bad has happened, right? So I think if you have way more resources, if you have a position of power in the U.S. government, you have a bit higher standard of like what you should be aware of and what you should fucking expel from associating with, and what you should probably be public about. But as we know, politicians are all pedophiles.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the issue. That was the biggest clue. We were so excited. We were like, wow, this guy is like a real politician. He's on our side. Wait, all politicians are pedophiles.
Well, okay. There's another good question brought up by the chat is if you're like going after MTG for having Milo around, how is having Ali Alexander around any different? I guess is essentially like the question in chat. So.
Well, there's no fucking question about what's going on with Milo from MTG's perspective, right?
Mhm.
And just why even bring up Allie in this fucking scenario? Like, let's just think about Milo. It's like, well, if MTG's stupid for having Milo around, why aren't you guys stupid, right? This is the same exact principle as what you're saying, but it just becomes way more apparent. From our perception of Milo, this is a guy who for the last 3 years has very publicly been going through a complete and total conversion and surrounding himself by not like people who are focused on money or people who are like focused on coming. He is surrounding himself by very politically or very religiously active people who have autism where all they do every single day is read religious texts. These are the type of people that he's surrounding himself in. He's getting confirmed. He's going through RCIA. He's going to church. That's our perception of Milo, right? But the entire time MTG's perception of Milo has been, Milo, he's the guy who lives in my campaign house rent free with his gay husband, right?
Yeah. Okay. So okay, I just have a couple more questions. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I have a couple of questions from the chat here. One person asks, why did Nick sit on and defend Ali before and after the evidence leaks? Nick knew Ali was weird and still let him in.
I don't know if that's just like an A-log thing or if you saw like I guess you guys have been looking at Jaden's stream. He disavowed him in the first fucking stream that he did about him. People it's like it's a weird thing, and like this is why people have been like defensive about this sort of shit, and like why maybe it seems a bit weird is like the people who are pushing this like narrative, or the people who seem to give a fuck the most about like the Ali scandal, these are people who for the last 3 years have dedicated their entire lives to being pissed at us, right? And by the way, those aren't like trans warriors. Those are like guys who are like Nazis, but who are like pissed that like we're not Nazi enough. Okay. If that even, I think a lot of them are just like terminally online retards. Like, you guys know who Kiwi Farms is, right? Or people like Jaden, like the first day that it happened, he disavowed it. The second day in the space, he disavowed it. But these people like to push the narrative that Nick refuses to disavow it.
Yeah. Somebody is claiming like that it was the actions that were disavowed, but not like the person. But question from one more. Well, let me see. I think there are like 2 more super chat questions. Do you think Nick is acting in celibacy, or do you think he has relapse? What does that mean?
Well, in order to relapse, you'd have to like done it in the first place. So Nick famously is a virgin. He's never smoked. He's never had a drink of alcohol. He's never, any of that, right? I believe him personally, and that's on Groiper. That's on me being there with him in real life. And you can believe this or not. You can believe this or not, but it's just real. He doesn't smoke even in like, whatever fucking like after party or like chilling, just hanging around. He doesn't drink any alcohol. He's literally like, he unironically will like sit at a bar with people and he will walk up and go, one Coke, please, at the bar. And have Dalton Clodfelter hammered out of his mind, yelling, like talking to him in his face. No, I believe him. And he's not gay. He just really likes Asian women. All right. And that's on Groiper too.
Okay. All right. Somebody says, would Nick have to compromise his anti-deplatforming stance and ban Ali from Cozy after this development?
Would Nick have to what?
Would Nick have to compromise his anti-deplatforming stance and ban Ali from Cozy after this development?
I don't know, man.
Okay. All right. James 3:1, let not many of you become teachers, my brethren, knowing that as such we will incur a stricter judgment. Why are worldly politicians more responsible than Christian leaders like Nick?
Well, he's not a Christian leader. He's a leader who is Christian, right? And MTG claims to be Christian. All of these people claim to be Christian. He is like a firebrand, but he has no authority like in the actual Catholic Church, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, we should hold ourselves to way stricter standards, and we do, right? We take it seriously. Not being able to like understand the concept of like Christian redemption is just like I think a big problem for some of you people.
Yeah.
Not you.
Okay.
You're lovely.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. I'm glad that you think so, given our previous interactions. And then somebody says
that's content.
Well, yeah, that's true. It is content. Nick called Ali his personal friend last Twitter space. I don't know if that's
I don't know the context. I mean,
yeah. Okay.
He could have said a guy who was my personal friend, and he did that. Like, who knows, man?
Sure. I guess just out of my own curiosity, do you think so? Similar. I know that you said that homosexuality and PDF files are analogous in your head. But do you think that somebody who's a PDF file
I don't think they're analogous. I think one's clearly worse.
Yeah. I guess the way that you talk about them is analogous, right?
Oh. Yeah. So I see what you're saying. When I said that Jaden, when he was saying he's a gay pedophile, that's sort of what I meant by analogous in that was that it was sort of like when we're like insulting someone, right? There's literally no difference in between saying he's gay and he's a gay pedophile, right? Like these track the same as the insult. It's not like, oh, he's gay, but also, whoa, what do you mean he's a pedophile? What's going on? It's just like, no, that's funny.
Yeah.
He's a gay pedophile. It is what it is.
Do you think that PDF files who previously offended can become celibate in a similar fashion? Yeah, in a similar fashion that you believe that homosexuals can? Do you think PDF files are redeemable? Or
I think they should be dead.
Okay.
No, I think they should be dead through a legal trial. I just think they should be dead. Like and that's on Millstone, right?
Okay.
No, I think there's definitely certain things that once you do, you just shouldn't be on the planet anymore. But I don't think homosexuality is one of those things. I think we can make you get better.
So you do distinguish between like the difference between like homosexual relations and like improper like adult child stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's interesting. That because I know that a lot of people the way that you were saying, a lot of people will view them similarly, or think that a lot of people that there's overlap there. I know that a lot of people.
I do think there's overlap. I think it's been proven. No, I'm not gonna make a claim. I think in my view of the data, I think it's pretty clear. Thanks for the sub. I think it's pretty clear that they are more likely to be pedophiles, homosexuals.
I
at least homosexual
disagree.
men.
Yeah. Well, I have to disagree, but because I think the medical literature says differently. But I mean, that can be a conversation for another time. But I was just curious about since you view there's an overlap, whether you would extend the same
Do you believe that straight men rape little boys? Just wondering.
Well, I think according to what the medical literature has said is that people who are predisposed to being PDF files don't really have a gender preference. They just prefer somebody who's vulnerable and who they can take advantage of opportunistically. So,
okay.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I think that that kind of concludes the interview there. Thanks for answering all my questions. So
yeah, that was great. Yeah. Okay, well, there you are. Any thoughts?
No, just again, I'm kind of bothered by just it seems like there's a little bit of a mismatch in the political expediency versus looking at red flags and stuff like that. But that's just my one takeaway from it. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, fair enough. Thank you so much, Wurzel. Guys, go check out Wurzel cozy.tv/Wurzelroot, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Thanks
Have
for
a good
having
one.
me.
Yeah. Bye. Okay. So thank you all for watching. Okay. I have to address a few things in the chat here because some of you guys are fucking retarded. All right. So I saw somebody in the fucking chat saying, Stardust, your bigotry isn't allowed in America. Motherfucker, I am speaking their language. Jesus Christ, dude. You guys think that I believe these things? No, I'm speaking their language. I have to ask questions with their worldview to have a coherent answer. You guys fucking stupid. Oh, Stardust, that your views aren't going to be okay in progressive America. Shut up. Shut up. Seriously. Oh my god. Soying out in the chat. Stardust is such a bigot. OMG. Like, OMG. Yeah, seriously. Seriously. Some people cannot understand what's going on in an interview. Seriously. Nah, you're just a bigot. Yeah, me, I'm the bigot. Okay, thank you guys. Forget fucking Stardust W. Thank you for the W's, okay?